Welcome to the Empower, Create, Encourage podcast, dedicated to providing you with strategies and encouragement to improve the quality of your daily experiences. Sometimes people pleasing gets confused for being kind, but I think the difference is that people pleasing can be used as a survival strategy or a habit of self abandonment. Sometimes we're scared that people won't accept us if we show our true selves, and then we won't be loved. What kind of early experiences condition us to become these chronic fixers or rescuers or good boys and girls? How do those self-sabotage grenades show up in our lives?
It's a learned thing. So I grew up in a household with a mom who did everything. We had to clean our rooms and we had to do things, but she would eat the burned toast. She would put herself last always. And I saw it in her mom. Guilt was huge, and so there was a lot of doing things out of obligation because you don't want to feel guilty. You don't want to let people down. So it becomes this pattern that you continue to live out. When you're growing up and you want to fit in, you're going to bend and flex and do what you need to do to feel accepted, have people approve of you. That pattern gets reinforced and then we keep doing it. And I think it lies under the radar. As adults, I think we don't realize it until we're depleted and exhausted and tired of not claiming our lives, putting ourselves last and always having people put forward.
I'm so curious about how our nervous system can get addicted to that chase of acceptance and that loop of self-rejection. How does that biological piece influence our sabotage cycles? How does our nervous system play a role in that?
Well, our nervous system is wired for survival, of course, but it's also wired for sameness.
Mm.
So even if there are patterns that we are living out that do not serve us, if we start to change and step out of what is the norm for us, then our nervous system is like, whoa, wait a minute. This is different. This is novel. This isn't right. This isn't what you've been doing. Think of it as like this well-worn path. All these patterns, the more we practice and rehearse them, the deeper the grooves get in our nervous system. When we're trying to get out of that pattern, the more we practice it, the quicker it comes. It's instant. It's faster than instant. Whereas we have to pause and have to think. We have to wait 30 seconds to be able to access our thinking brain to change. So that part of our nervous system that keeps us safe, it's wired to scan always and produce the same and to produce safety. So it feels very weird to try a different, I think of it as like you're looking at just all these weeds and brush and there's no trail in there, but you got to cut away stuff and create that new trail, that new pattern. It feels weird, and that's why we go back to the same pattern, because it feels better, feels right, even though it may not serve our best self.
I like when you're talking about this trail that we're blazing because that's what the neural pathways are. It's so easy to do what we've been doing because we have that path already in our brain, that path in our body, that path in our emotions. And so reprogramming that can be a little bit challenging. Where do you think that people most commonly betray themselves, and how does that betrayal show up in their lives?
Seeking outside of ourselves what's really inside of us, unknowingly giving ourselves away. We constantly give energy to things that are trying to fill a void inside of us. Distraction, scrolling, that's trying to fill something or escape something. We go through so many things in a day. Unless we're aware, we're not going to notice that. It'll be this loss of time, lack of sense of self, more about really developing what's inside of us, because that's everything. Once you have that, you don't have to go out and seek approval or acceptance from others. You don't have to super achieve to feel like you're credible or you're believable or you're climbing the ladder. It's a lot of these narratives that we grow up with, that most things are outside of ourselves, but it's also a pattern. And it's bringing that in and looking at, wait a minute, what's here and how can I cultivate that inside of me? so that I don't have to go out there, and then look at where am I losing energy? That's energy that's taken from me, whether it's people pleasing, whether it's some of the grenades of sabotage. That's energy that is leaving you that could be inside and build you up.
Yes, switching from external validation to internal validation. And those are some great early signs that we're seeking something outside to fill a void or to feel good about ourselves, whether that's doom scrolling or being an overachiever or being a people pleaser. What's a tool that we can use to shift from external validation to internal validation?
Early signs that I experienced were really quieting my voice because I don't want people to judge me. I did that most of my life. I didn't feel like I was enough most of my life. When I'd be in circles or in classrooms, I wouldn't raise my hand. I didn't want to take the risk of sounding stupid. For me, that was a big piece of quieting my voice, not wanting to make a mistake or have people think I'm not smart enough or knowledgeable enough or well-read or whatever. A tool that is important is if you don't realize that about yourself, then you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So awareness to me is critical. You can't change what you're not aware of. So that's a first step, is really being aware that I do this. And then if you want to take it a step further, what's a way that I can try to challenge myself and use my voice? Maybe I pick a safe group of people, a safe environment, or a topic that I feel really excited about to then speak out about it. Once you build this connection in yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think.
You mentioned giving yourself more of a voice. What about in a dating setting? There's a little bit of a loneliness epidemic where people are like, people kind of suck. I don't want to deal with going on dates and figuring out how they suck and why. What would be a good first step to giving yourself a voice if you really do want to be with someone and have a great relationship, but you're just so apprehensive about it?
Telling a person what I need. We're all different. What he thinks I need is different than what I think I need.
Yeah.
So I think it's feeling comfortable with yourself to be able to tell a person, this is something that I need in a relationship. If it's a new relationship, kind of being upfront about what's important to you or what your values are, and you kind of would know if they're on the same page. Dating is so different from when I was out there. I'm happy I'm not out there. Seems almost like a sport right now. Um,
That's
and
what I hear.
yeah, the most important thing is developing the relationship with yourself first. That makes every relationship easier. You're not going to be codependent on somebody else to make you feel worthy or attractive or whatever the reasons are that you're in a relationship or seeking a relationship with this person. The relationship with yourself, if that's really strong and grounded, then you come into it with a different kind of confidence. And it
Mm.
also shows through to that other person. So they see that in you, and you're able to much more clearly state where you are. And
I think that's maybe a way that we sabotage ourselves in relationships. We just don't fully allow ourselves to show up and say what we want, or we don't set up those boundaries quick enough. Sometimes you go on a date with someone and they're attractive, so you stay there a bit longer than you should. It is hard to show up when you're feeling that you're not valued, but there are some things that we can do to course correct that. We can set a boundary. Sometimes instead of setting a boundary, we set up a wall. And I think that hurts us. What's the difference between setting a boundary and building a wall?
it's the intention. When you're setting a boundary, you're saying, I'm important here. This is for me to take care of myself. And I set boundaries with myself all the time. I want to quit my workday at 5, but I keep working till 7. And I'm like, no, your boundary is 5. Try it for a day and keep going. Boundaries don't just apply to other people, they apply to us as well. To build that self-trust. If I don't keep that commitment of stopping at 5, that boundary, I don't have as strong of a self-trust as if I do follow through with that commitment. The wall is protection. I didn't realize I had set up all these walls around me that were not serving me.
It seems like building a wall is, like you said, a prison where it keeps us from showing up. It keeps us from living life to the fullest. And a boundary is a way that we can honor ourselves. It allows the real us to show up. It allows us to respect and honor ourselves and live life in a way that is happy and fulfilling for us. There's so many different categories of boundaries. What are three essential boundaries that you would recommend people to have for their own well-being?
I definitely would have boundaries around where you put your attention and put it in places that build you up instead of pull you away from what's important or how you feel about yourself. Other boundaries would be honoring yourself. As women, there's so much obligation that we have to do it all, and we shouldn't ask for help. And I think it's really important to put ourselves first in situations where we can. You don't have to give a rationale or a justification for it. A boundary around taking care of yourself with saying no whatever in whatever way that that shows up for you. And a third boundary is definitely what you accept to take in from others. So only people that matter to me does their opinion matter. I'm not going to let in negativity or judgment or whatever it is, people that don't even know me,
Yeah.
haven't met me, or don't really know me.
Don't
So
care to know you. They don't care to understand.
exactly, exactly. In this world of, at the same time, hyperconnectivity, but hyper disconnectivity, I think it's really important to be selective about whose opinion matters.
Yeah, and I like how you're talking about the consumption too, because we're influenced by that. The kind of movies that
100%.
we're watching. Like I had to stop watching Criminal Minds because it just made me so scared all the time that everyone was a serial killer around me.
I want feel-good movies.
Yeah.
I want happy animal movies. I don't want to watch the animal shows where they show them eating each other and all that stuff. It's very interesting, the things that affects you,
Yeah.
whether you are aware of it or not.
Oh, I
So,
get nightmares. It's pretty awful. My husband cuts me off. He's like, "You can't watch this anymore. You get nightmares. Stop it."
yeah, I mean, anything that elevates that fight or flight part of
Yeah.
my nervous system, I don't need any more of that. And I'm always so surprised that people seek that out. It doesn't mean it's good, bad, or otherwise, but we're such a culture of sympathetically mediated nervous system people that we need regulation. We don't
Yeah.
need things that are going to keep us in that super crazy, but it's an adrenaline rush.
I was
People,
gonna
it's
say it's
addictive,
addicting. Yeah, it's
totally
so
addictive.
addicting to be even
Yeah,
to be a people pleaser. You're in this cycle of, oh my gosh, they don't like me, but maybe if I do this one magic thing, then they are gonna like me. Oh,
right.
that really exhausts me and it burns me out, but I feel horrible, but then they're actually gonna like me, so now I feel good, but then feel horrible. All of that is addicting. Or even like I was studying like the self-sabotage thing where you have a test in the morning, but you stay up until 3 a.m. watching TV. We like to sabotage ourselves. And when I first learned it, I was like, oh my gosh, I do things like that all the time. Like
Yeah,
why do people do that? Like that's such an interesting phenomenon. Where do you
it
think
is.
that yeah, it is. It's so interesting. Where do you think that people most commonly sabotage themselves? And where does that show up in their daily lives? How does that show up?
I mean, I think it's giving away our attention. I really do. Like what you just said, you have a test in the morning and you're giving your attention to TV, and then you feel like crap. You feel terrible. You're tired. You can't think clearly. A big piece of it is these patterns that are our lives, that we are on autopilot, that we aren't awake. I felt like I was pretty aware, but when I woke up to all of the automatic habitual patterns and conditioning and stories that I'd been living out my whole life, I look at my life and think, oh my God, I was sleepwalking through life. And I look around, and as a culture, we subscribe to the narratives and we give away all this attention to anyone bidding for it, and because that also gives us a dopamine hit that keeps us coming back for more, or we escape feeling badly about ourselves. That's a huge piece of it too. I don't really want to look at that. So I'm going to look at YouTube videos and go down a rabbit hole. I do it on days I'm like, okay, you're going to do some YouTube videos. And I think, well, I got to see what are people looking for? What are other people's videos like? I got to research keywords. And then the day is gone, and I'm just like, I don't have a single video. And I'm doing all this quote research. I have completely sabotaged because I don't want to do it, because I don't want to put myself out there and I don't want to be judged. I want it to be, a viral video. We keep ourselves from living,
Yeah.
really living, when we do these sabotaging.
And
And
sometimes
it's
it's
like,
so hard to get out of it because like
it
I just had
is.
my first baby 7 months ago. So
Yeah.
I'm like super sleep deprived.
Oh,
And
wow. Yeah.
days when he goes to sleep, let's say around like 9:30 or 10:30, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so utterly wiped. I am so exhausted from not having any time for myself as well that I will spend time working on my phone or watching videos or watching a movie or
Mhm.
watching a show just so I
Mhm.
can feel like something other than just someone who's dealt with like meltdowns and a baby all day and just so I can have like something for myself. But then I'm like, why am I doing this when I'm so utterly physically exhausted? Like my brain after a certain point starts to feel like I get headaches and I get like very nauseous. And so I'm just like, why do I do that? So that has been my goal for the last 2 weeks. Okay, I give myself like 5, 10 minutes and I put it away. And the other night, I'm very proud of myself. The baby went to bed and I did not touch my phone. I was like, I'm falling asleep. I am utterly exhausted. The allure of these self betrayals or these sabotages or even addictions is the beautiful satisfaction of escaping a feeling or wanting to feel something. So, what's something that people can use that's a tool to shift from that mindset and to be able to course correct so that we can get out of this addictive cycle of self sabotage, self betrayal, and dysregulation?
You've got to set yourself up for success. You have to create an environment that supports your best decision in that moment. And environments are stronger than willpower. So if you say, all right, I'm going to set up my environment, it could be a timer, it could be something. What if you said, I'm going to set up a place that has a candle and a little music and a super cozy place to lie down to do a 5-minute meditation, or I'm going to do something really special as a facial or a face wash, or you're exhausted, so it's not going to be big, but something that is creating an environment that is pulling you along a little bit,
Yeah, that's conducive to the goal.
that is more targeted to where you want to go. I mean, I think it's fine if you want to say, you know what, I want to zone out for an hour and watch whatever video, that's fine. I'm not saying don't do that. It's when it becomes addictive and
Yeah.
excessive and a problem in your life and getting in the way from you showing up, then that's something that needs to be addressed. I have a client who is having a hard time with exercise, and she's gaining weight and she's eating more, and she's like, I know I need to exercise and I just don't. And I was like, what if you put your shoes by the door and your clothes already there, or change your clothes at work before you get home into your exercise clothes? You come home, you get your shoes on and your exercise. 5 minutes, set your timer, walk half a block, come back, and just start bite size, tiny,
Mhm.
tiny, tiny, tiny. And what ends up happening is, and I said 1 day a week, just 1 day, just do that. Well, she's done it 5 days and she's done a half-hour walk each time. She's creating an environment that is different from the environment she used to be in when she walked in the house and walked into the kitchen. What can I do to be most successful? And start there, and start micro, like super small.
Yes, those micro and small bite sized. I love that. They lead to such strong, powerful things. That's one of my favorite questions to ask every episode is what's the smallest possible step that we can take? You also talk about micro boldness. Can you teach us a little bit about how we can practice that?
Tiny things, stepping out of your comfort zone, whatever that looks like. It could be like setting a boundary, saying no when you're super not used to it, and giving no explanation. It's also saying what you mean. And it's interesting because I'm in an improv class. We talk about status, not status in terms of money, but status in terms of hierarchy in a conversation or a relationship. The person on the lower scale that doesn't make the eye contact and tends to keep on talking and rambling and isn't as concise. And that makes so much sense because you're less sure of yourself if you've got to keep on going. So a micro boldness could be I speak what I mean and mean what I say, and I don't need to give an explanation or additional information unless somebody wants
Yeah.
clarification. So it's just these little ways that you're showing up for yourself a little bit differently, doing something that scares you a little bit, but not like a scary movie kind of way. Those little boldness, they pay huge dividends, huge in terms of confidence, in terms of self-trust, in terms of putting yourself out there and believing in yourself. So it's just these small acts. It doesn't have to be huge, go swing from a 30-foot trapeze kind of a thing if you're terrified of heights. It
Go
can just
climb
be
Mount Everest.
right, right. Or like bungee jump or do a speaking thing. It's just these small things, but they're like leaps forward.
The cool thing about that too is that it affects the other person's perception about you. Authentic transformation, we're all about inner child wounds, and we apply that to business owners. We also apply that to organizations. We remove barriers through the workforce. One of the things that we talk about as well is practicing to be confident. And we talk about how when you talk concisely, the
Mhm.
impact is a lot bigger. Because a lot of times when people talk for long periods of times, like you said, the rambling is, I'm not sure of myself.
Mhm.
Sometimes it also has to do with, I didn't feel heard as a child. I didn't feel understood. So I have to speak for a long period of time and I have to speak louder so that I can feel heard. So we like to look at those wounds. So it's so interesting how these things still show up in the way that we're operating in our lives today.
Totally. And we don't realize it. It's almost subconsciously as the speaker and as the receiver. You're tuning them out because they just don't stop talking. And the speaker is just, this is the pattern that I've always had. This is
Yeah.
what I do. It's so interesting, all these things, and looking straight at a person and not blinking versus a person who blinks a lot. It's all these things that are nonverbal,
Yeah.
a lot of nonverbal in addition to the verbal, that really reveal a lot about us and what we're projecting out too.
Yeah, and in the example that you just mentioned, when the person's like, "Ah," the other person's tuning the rambling speaker out, then the rambling person picks up on it and now continues to ramble more because obviously now they're more anxious and they're like, oh, they're not hearing me. I have to give more information. And then it just creates this negative feedback loop. I find that stuff so fascinating, understanding like how we present ourselves, how we show up, and then how that affects the other person, how their perception affects us. And we either have this positive feedback loop and we're getting the result and experiences that we like, or we're getting a negative feedback loop and we're living in something that's like, why do these patterns keep happening? And so I love that self-awareness. And you have a program right now, your Unshakable Me online program for women. I'm curious, what's something valuable that you've learned about yourself through developing that program?
The reason I created this program is because when you feel so solid about something that I believe so much in, and I want everybody to feel the way that I do, then I have the courage to go so far out of my comfort zone and try to propel it forward. And also talking to people like you. We have such an epidemic of disconnection in our world, and it's a mirror of the disconnection within ourselves. We're ground zero. We're it. It starts with us. We need to heal ourselves and connect with ourselves. And when we see that vulnerability in ourselves and we give it love, we can see it in other people so clearly. So it's just this courage, this reliance, this belief that's become even more grounded and affirmed.
I really believe that inner healing does bring outer success. And I do believe everything that's happening internally is reflected externally. That's such a powerful message.
It is. I was just talking to a client today about just that. We project what's inside. Leaders who are seeking power and money, it's to fill a void
Mhm.
that is unfillable in that way. That's a big part of our seeking external validation to fill the void that's inside. It's unfillable that way.
Yeah, there's like that are a nightmare for HR because it just creates such a horrible culture. Morale goes down, productivity goes down. A lot of corruption can happen and we're not meeting our productivity goals at all. It can be a bit of a nightmare. For
Um,
anyone who's listening, Heidi, and they're caught up in this loop of self-sabotage or overgiving or dysregulation, what is the smallest possible step that they can take today to return to themselves again?
Taking one small step, doing a gesture of kindness to yourself every day. How am I talking to myself? And catching yourself when you aren't being kind. Admitting that's a pattern. It isn't me. That's a pattern that I grew up with, and I'm working to change it. And that could be it. That could be showing up for yourself. That awareness of, ooh, I just was mean and I don't want to do that anymore. Make effort to do something kind to yourself, something that builds you up, builds that energy, brings that energy back inside, lights that flame and really builds the flame inside. And that's belief in yourself, it's kindness, it's compassion, it's forgiveness, and it's acceptance. And if you can just do one thing a day, that's a start. If you're already there, do more and change that inner voice that might not be so kind.
That's so beautiful. That's a wrap for today. Thank you for listening to the Empower, Create, Encourage podcast. If you like it, share it and subscribe for more. Remember, you're empowered to create the life, the love, and the reality that you want. Espero que tu día esté lleno de magia y alegría. Con mucho cariño, nos vemos prontito.